te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei il mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Né padre né madre, né marito né moglie, né figli né figlie, né zii né cugini, né padre né madre, né marito né moglie, né figli né figlie, né zii né cugini, nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Ho ammucchiato averi, la ricchezza mi ha abbagliato, il desiderio carnale le cellule mi ha saturato. Ho ammucchiato averi, la ricchezza mi ha abbagliato, il desiderio carnale le cellule mi han saturato. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei il mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Mi son logorato il cuore con illusioni e delusioni, correndo dietro a chimere, folgoranti passioni. Mi son logorato il cuore con illusioni e delusioni, correndo dietro a chimere, folgoranti passioni. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Ho viaggiato assai per il mondo, vagabondo del Dharma, sempre alla ricerca del modo di arrestare la ruota del karma. Ho viaggiato assai per il mondo, vagabondo del Dharma, sempre alla ricerca del modo di arrestare la ruota del karma. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Mi sono assai affaccendato, la certezza ho cercato, il bisogno di sicurezze, i nervi mi ha logorato. Mi sono assai affaccendato, la certezza ho cercato, il bisogno di sicurezze, i nervi mi ha logorato. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero, te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Ho visto il mondo, l'ho minuziosamente osservato, tutti i legami che abbiamo, l'animo ci hanno assoggettato. Ho visto il mondo, l'ho minuziosamente osservato, tutti i legami che abbiamo, l'animo ci hanno assoggettato. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero, te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Infine ho sviluppato un sano distacco da tutto, ho cercato il reale svegliandomi da questo sogno brutto. Infine ho sviluppato un sano distacco da tutto, ho cercato il reale svegliandomi da questo sogno brutto. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero, te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei il mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Il bisogno profondo, la smania che ho nel cuore è di poter realizzare con l'assoluto la totale fusione. Il bisogno profondo, la smania che ho nel cuore è di poter realizzare con l'assoluto la totale fusione. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero, te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Trascendere l'attanagliante, identificazione col corpo, realizzare consapevolezza, coscienza, beatitudine suprema. Trascendere l'attanagliante, identificazione col corpo, realizzare consapevolezza, coscienza, beatitudine suprema. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero, te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Kirpal, benevolo Satguru, mio amato maestro, solo tu ci sai perdonare e alla realizzazione portare. Kirpal benevolo Satguru, mio amato maestro, solo tu ci sai perdonare e alla realizzazione portare. Nessuno sa amare con cuore sincero. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. Te adoro, mio amato Satguru. Tu sei mio vero amico, estremamente puro. So this is the song we are going to consider this evening for Satsang. He says, it's you I adore, it's you I adore, my beloved Sadguru. You are my real friend, my true friend. Extremely pure. If a person in life is lucky enough to meet a real master and recognize that master as such in his potential, that's a very good luck. Because many people see a master, but very few recognize him as such. So if you don't recognize the master as such for what he is, then it's a bad luck. Then it's no use. It's like seeing anybody else. Or maybe it's like seeing somebody who is maybe a good person, maybe special in some ways, but nothing more than that. Maybe a good writer, a good singer, a good poet, a good according to the skills the person has. But not seeing that divinity shining in that person. So the most lucky people that meet a master are those who really see the divinity shining in the master. those that by coming in touch with this person, their soul is uplifted. One experience is something which is different than meeting anybody else. And spending time with that person, you get this spiritual upliftment, this spiritual nourishment, which you so much need. To find peace in your life, to find a purpose in your life. To experience and understand that divinity is not just an idea, it's not just a belief. It's a possibility, it's a reality that we can experience, that we may experience. So it's not like meeting a good philosopher, a good preacher, a good anything. It's like meeting somebody and tuning in with the holy presence of God. To a certain degree, our degree, each one has his own. So, in my case, I was a seeker of truth. And I tried many things. I convinced myself of this and that. But nothing gave me real peace. Nothing gave me real purpose, fulfillment. Something that you say, oh my God, this is really what I want. Something that leaves you with your mouth open because you are so enchanted. That leaves you really wondering, wonderstruck. So when I met Master Kirpal, that's what happened to me. I was really wonderstruck. How can a person be so saturated with divinity, saturated with light, that just by approaching this person, I feel so much out of this world, so much above this world, so much above anything I had experienced up to that point. So if you're lucky enough to have this kind of experience, then you feel very fulfilled, you feel very happy, and very grateful also for having such a good luck. In my case, of course I expected something special in meeting a Satguru, a living master. But what I experienced when I met Master Kirpal was so much above what I expected. Normally people have troubles experiencing that much that they would like to experience in meeting a master. But I was so much surprised, really, that how is possible that such an incredible something may happen to a human being. So there was a real blessing. That's why I fell so much in love with this master. That's why I accepted every teaching that he gave. And that's why I felt so much that this, his path, now is my path. And I had this absolute certainty that this is my path, this is my Satguru, and this will be for the rest of my life. And I was not mistaken. Because as you can see, now it's almost 50 years, and it's still my master and it's still my path. So it's such a blessing when you get into a relationship like this with somebody, even romantically, let's say. It's such a good luck when you get involved with somebody that lasts for your whole life, in which you may meet all the challenges that comes along the relation, and you're able to face them and keep going. And it doesn't mean that this relation was so idyllic, that everything was honey. No, because we know life is not all sweetness. Life is sweetness and bitterness. And when you want to really transform yourself and really try to apply the teachings of the Master in your life, then you have to face yourself, your weak side, your passions, your troubles, your emotions, your mind, which is such an enemy at times, may become such an enemy. So it's not easy to keep this commitment for your whole life when you have to face so much. But thanks God I've been able to face everything and keep going. And I can say with Master Kirpal it was very easy. It was a short story, 2 years more or less. I met him twice, and each 2 times it was just extraordinary. Just like being out of this world completely. Such a perception of his incredible power. It was too much for me, really. At times it was really too much. I really felt like being grinded by this energy. But it was so ecstatic, so blissful, and so intoxicating. Those 2 occasions I spent time with him, it was so really uplifting. Thinking back now, I really think how lucky I was, how blessed I was. So it was short time, very sweet time. It was not involved this transformation of man. What he called the making of a man. That didn't happen with Master Kirpal. With him it was just bliss. It was a full spiritual pleasure. This making of a man happened with Sanji. I think it was really facing yourself, facing your mind, your emotions, your lust, your anger, your ego, and always say, yes, sir, when you would say, no, sir. I don't like this. But I never said, no, sir. I always said, yes, sir. And when you cooperate so closely with the Master, organizing programs and no such progress like this we have now. This is very easy, which is also demanding, but it's nothing in comparison. When Sanji came here first time in 1980, I was just alone, living here for 1 year in this place, which was in such a bad condition, you can't imagine. If you see photos of how it was at the time and how it is now, you won't recognize the place. You won't believe it's the same place. So I worked so hard for 1 year, all alone here, 12 hours per day I was working. to restore that house, which was in such a bad condition when I came here. But he had told me to do it, that he wanted to come to Italy to give a program, and it never occurred to me that could be organized elsewhere, taking a place and people go to hotels and this and that. I wanted to have it here because I wanted this place to become something. That's why I bought it. I was not living in this area. I was living in Milan. So I bought this place because I wanted to turn it to an ashram. And he said that he would come here. So I worked so hard for 1 year, mostly alone. And then with the help of a builder, for doing works which I was not able to do alone. And it was so hard, really. Such a cold winter. Now it's much more warm than before. When I came here 40 and something years ago, winters were quite cold, really. And I was not used living in such a place. So I didn't warm myself up I was just working and working. I didn't care about warming anything. It was like being in a construction place. The house was like this. There was no water. I had to go down. I dig a hole somewhere down below the caravan where you see that oak and that caravan. There was a spring. So I dig a hole and I was going with buckets to pick up the water there. And I was not used to this kind of life. I was living for 17 years in Milan. And I worked so hard, really. But then when he came, there were more than 100 people came. And I didn't really know how to organize for so many people. But as I said, they all stayed in tents. And it was raining all the time, very heavy. We had built something in front of the house there to have satsang there, like a kind of shed something. But then when it began raining so heavily, it was flooded with water. So we had meetings in the house, and people were coming in turns, like 20, 25 people each time, and having like half an hour with Sanji. And like this. But everybody was very happy, really, because there was such a wave of grace that came over the place, such a blessing, really. And everybody didn't feel the problem of the situation. There were no toilets, people were going in the woods for toilets. There were just 2 toilets in my house, one for Sanji personally, and the other one for people who were traveling with him, and myself. So that was really facing myself. It was really facing weak sides of myself, fears, and because I came to live here, I didn't know the area. I didn't know how safe or unsafe it was. I didn't know what could happen in such a place. For 3 kilometers all around, because nobody was living here at the time. Even those who are neighbors now, they were not here. I was just alone here. and then Ribolla was the closest place. So yeah, I was facing really myself. And I can say I had no fears. I had some fears. But I really faced them and I won them. And that year really made up my shoulders, I can say. Really my bones, my skeleton. Because that's a situation in which either you survive or you freak out. So that you can do if you really believe in something, if you really become convinced that this is your life, this is what you've been given and what you have been choosing. And now, whatever happens, whatever is the cost, you don't give up. You stay true to yourself, through your choice in life. And no matter what happens, you stick to it. That's how I took it. That was my attitude. And I'm very happy that I had this attitude. It was really a gift from God. I've always been kind of stubborn in whatever I've chosen in life. Once I choose something, I stick to it. There might be crises, I don't say there are not. But crises are to be overcome, not to be overwhelmed by them. And you know, I've told this many times, I was not a religious person. I didn't have a religious belief. So when I met Master Kirpal, he became really my God. I choose him as my God because I had no God. So I thought, who should be my God? Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Moses, who? I mean, who should be? I don't know these people. It was a very logic something. I never met these people. Maybe they were something special, but this Kirpal is really like a God man for me. So I thought, he is my God. If I have to give a face to this supreme reality, then it will be the face of this my master. So if I adore God, or when I adore God, I adore Master Kirpal as God. And I understand him to be really my real friend, who has never betrayed me in the way that he's always there if I approach him. It's me that might go far from him, but it doesn't go far from me. And it's true with each one of us. Your God, what you understand to be your God, it never goes away from you. Your mind takes you away from him, but he's always with you. So we should have this quality of being faithful, of sticking to what we understand to be our reality. our life, our destiny. We should not just be like the wind that comes and goes here and there. We should be like a oak that stays firm no matter what. Tiny branches, blades of grass are moved here and there, but the oak stays there no matter what happens. So we should be like that. What's our belief? It doesn't mean that it has to stay the same, because there is an evolution always happening. But the strength, the intensity in which we stick to it, it must be same always. Better and better, I would say. Otherwise, what are we? A blade of grass? You have to be strong in our faith. You have to be strong in our determination to keep going no matter what. And my longing was always to have my master as much as possible in this place. So I invited him over and over again. So he came back in 1984. At the time there were even more people, like 150 people. So it is so much work, and mostly it was me with 2 friends doing most of the work. We built a very big barn in the place where you men are staying. Before there was a barn, a wooden barn, quite big. It was like bigger than the house. So we built that place for Satsang, and at the time we also built the house, the lady's house, because there was a Satsangi who intended to come to live here. He had some money, so he financed the building of this house, which was his property at the time. But we use it for langar, for people to eat inside, and also at some point Sanji also gave us satsang inside there, because it was not like the way it is now. It was just the skeleton of the house in the beginning. And that also was such a busy program and such a work to prepare for it. Months of work. Yeah. And there are people who find it difficult to organize a program by renting a place and doing some small transportation, this and that. That's just nothing. It's just a funny something. It's an amusement, I would say. Here there were months of so many hours work every day. That's how you show that you really care for something, that you really mind about something. That's really important for you. Sanji used to say, any sacrifice on the path is just nothing. Once we took, it was such a trip to go to Rajasthan. Myself, I had to go to Rome, pick up a plane, and go to Delhi. Then spend some few days in Delhi. Then the group got together, we took a bus, the beginning a train, then a jeep, 3 hours in the desert. And then you reach there, And he said, oh, good you came. But mind you, on the path, any sacrifice is just nothing, he said. So that's how it is. I've done this, I have done that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What is it? We are ready to sacrifice so much for family, for friends, for our pleasures, our passions. So what is the path for us? Is it our main passion or is it not? How much do we really care about this path? Is it the main thing for us or it is not? Then Sanji came back again in 1989, and there was even so much more. You can't imagine. The cost for that program was 120,000 euros. And we worked for 6 months building up so many things. There was not yet electricity at this place. We had to build up the whole electricity system. We made that kind of lake or pond, you want to call it. And so to have enough water, you have to make all the water system. We built up Sanji's house here. And there were no level places here. It was just a slope going down, a hill going down. So bulldozer coming in and making flat place areas so as to have tents and stuff for the people. And there quite a number of people came. Quite a number from United States, from South America, from Austria, from Italy, of course, some. So it was a team of some 10, 15 people working, really, for 5 or 6 months. Of course, people came and go, they were not here all the time. But especially the last period before Sanji came, the last, let's say, 2 weeks, there were maybe 20 to 25 people working. We built a number of toilets made of wood, really very simple but working. Several places, because there were really many people. And so many of these platforms for the Langard, people to sit on, and so on and so forth. And you know, you get into debts organizing such a program if you're not lucky enough that people contribute. But I must tell you that at the end of each program I was always left with some, let's say, 10,000–15,000 euros. Everything was covered, and just by free donations. So there you see that the masters care, really. You sacrifice something for him and he helps you in all possible ways. If you give yourself with faith and trust to God, God will not let you down. And there was a really wonderful program, really. There was some 200 people, sometimes more, sometimes up to 300 maybe. But at least some 200 were here for the whole time. It lasted 8 days. Sanji rarely gave a 8 days program in the West, like 3–4 days. And everybody was very impressed. He was very impressed by the amount of work which was done, and was very impressed by the incredible wave of grace that came over this place and Sanchi came during those 8 days. Russell Perkins, who was the representative for the United States, he always came here when there were these programs. And at the end of this program, he wrote an article in which he began by saying, the ashram in Italy is the most beautiful place in this world. And I mean, comparing now with then, it was really nothing in comparison. Now it's so much more beautiful than it was. But it was not the beauty of the place that made it so beautiful. It was really this incredible grace, wave of grace and upliftment and God's presence that make it look so beautiful. Master Kripal used to say, God's presence beautifies everything. So when you have that divine presence, then even the most ugly place looks like the most beautiful. And even the most ugly person looks like the most beautiful. And Sanji was very happy at the time. Also because he had his own place where to stay and he really minded so much about his privacy. The other 2 times he had to be in my house and that was not so very comfortable for him. But then when he had this house, he was very happy. And he told me from now on, whenever I come to Europe, I will always come here. But then it didn't happen anymore. So it's through actions that we show this love, this devotion, this dedication to our Master and to the path that we have chosen to follow. It's not by words. Words are, they come and go. They might not leave any trace. It's our actions that leave a trace which stays forever. So it's very important for each one of us to make a definite choice in life and stick to it and go by it, whatever it means, whatever it requires. Very difficult to find people like this. In these 20 years, I'm doing this work for my Master. After he died, I mean, I've seen so many people coming and going. So few that stay. That's not the way. A real seeker of truth is. A real seeker of truth is a real man, a real woman that sticks to what he believes in, what is his choice in life. There are people who sacrifice their life for their nation. We can see it nowadays. We should much more sacrifice our life for our God, for what we choose to be our path in life. It is much more important than a nation. So we continue. I got stuck in the first sentence. We continue tomorrow. Some other time. So